And so really excited to present the next 3 companies in this Growth Summit. We're going to hear some really cool interpretations on media and e-commerce and sensitivity analysis and emotional analysis. First, I want to introduce Robert Lendvai, the founder of Flixel. He's going to walk us through what his company does. Off to you.
All right.
It should be on now.
There we go. All right.
He's got it.
All right. So can you guys roll the play? I should have taken clicker training. Which?
There it is. There it is.
Let's go back one. Okay, so this amazing Harry Potter-like image is what we call a cinematograph. It's an entirely new visual medium that blends the best of photography and video, and it's the fastest growing new visual medium in the world right now. That lady is Tyra Banks, supermodel from America's Next Top Model. Anybody remember Cycle 20, where she introduced Flixel and cinemagraphs to millions of people on the show? So before we developed our apps, cinemagraphs were done using tools like Photoshop and After Effects, and they were really difficult to use and they could take a lot of time. We developed a family of applications called Cinemagraph Pro, which won an Apple Design Award, that make it super simple so that anybody can create a cinemagraph. And it's a really big part of the reason right now while this medium is being used everywhere for email campaigns, out-of-home advertising. We're doing TV commercials for ESPN this year, and many, many other amazing projects. You can do these on your phone, you can do these on your Mac, and they look fantastic and they loop perfectly everywhere. Now, why are cinemagraphs so effective for advertising? That's because we live in a world where people are thumbing past your content, whether you're running Facebook ads or you're doing campaigns on Snap. But cinemagraphs, they have this magic ability to capture and hold our attention in ways that photographs no longer do. They autoplay, they auto-loop, they're silent, so they're not annoying when you're on your mobile phone. And because the file format is just a little video MP4 file, you can use these anywhere. All right, so cinemagraphs are being used across every vertical media: travel, food and beverage, fashion, which is where they were born. But we're also seeing them now. Next slide. It's not working. We're also seeing cinemagraphs in the film industry, in entertainment. The Toronto International Film Festival was on in Toronto a couple weeks ago, and all celebrities were posing for cinemagraphs in a Flixel photo booth. So some pretty amazing use cases of the medium. All right. So now what about the data? Well, we've done a series of tests with. Can you go back a slide and play that one for me? All right. Can you hit plays? No. All right. So roll back one. All right, so this should be looping. What you should be seeing is the can twisting. And we did a test with Pepsi where their agency ran a cinemagraph test against a still photo test. The cinemagraph did 5,000% better. It's astonishing how much more effective a cinemagraph can be in a campaign versus a still photo. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is a couple of quick examples with sound of some of the brands that are using cinemagraphs, in this case on Instagram, to drive better engagement with their community. Good play. Turn the sound up. Some sound on it. All right, so you can see that the engagement, the views on these are off the charts. And that is what happens when you use cinemagraphs in your campaigns. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. So who here in the audience is a founder? Raise your hand. Okay, so all of you know how hard it is to demo live on stage. So let's give Robert a big round of applause for that, because it's never easy. All right, so our next company is the founder of YEAY, Melanie Mohr. Melanie, thanks for joining us.
Hi. Yeah, it's on. Yeah, I'm the CEO and founder of YEAY. And I think as we're here for media tech and showing what video can do, let me immediately introduce YEAY through a video. I don't know. Sound? So we are the first global and leading commerce platform for Gen Z focused on video. And some journalists called it like Snapchat and eBay having a baby. And that's in a way I think we are on the right side of history with a platform that is mobile and that is focused on video and focused on Gen Z. Because Gen Z, this is a very entrepreneurial crowd. More than 70% of teenagers want to be entrepreneurs. And at the same time, they are the first real digital natives and natural-born storytellers. So that's our focus. It's video, it's mobile, and it's Gen Z.
Thank you, Melanie. And so on the tail end of the iPhone 10 launching face recognition and doing some amazing things, capturing how we feel, I want to introduce Mihkel Jaatma, founder of RealEyes, who's going to share with us how he deals with emotional capture.
Hello. Hello, everyone. So thanks a lot for having us here. At RealEyes, we are pioneering how computers can understand human emotion. And here's why we're so deeply excited about exactly that. First, 90% of our behavior is driven by emotions. Every one of us, we make about 3,000 decisions every single day. We just can't handle that load rationally, and we need to make emotional shortcuts. So we are emotional machines. The second thing is that the number of internet-connected webcams will triple to 45 billion by 2022. And that's 5 times more machine eyes than the human eyes by that point of time. And finally, emotion detection is already better via machine vision than it is by human today, here and now. It's true for basic emotions like happiness and confusion, but soon enough, computers will understand empathy and other complex things like that better as well. So what we've done is that combining all those 3 things, we built a SaaS platform that can measure what people feel via any webcam based on their facial expressions and use that data to help brands make better video marketing. The way our first product works is that it's just like a new, better way of doing service. People get invite like they do from any other panel. 60% say yes, we know what they watch, we see how they react, and you as a customer, you have a very detailed view on what kind of content invokes what emotions in what audiences. And we translate that rich data also to a very simple 1 to 10 score that makes it very easy and quick for social media managers, for example, to work with their campaign efficiency. So we were the very first company back in 2012 to run a 300-person emotion test in less than 2 days, which is really makes it practical. We've now grown to 60 people over US, UK, and Hungary. Very proud about our 10 PhD R&D team. We've had over 100% growth for the last 3 years, thanks to our enterprise customers, and proud about the value that we add to them in our sort of 300,000+ a year contracts that we work with those customers. But most important, the most exciting part of our company is this database that combines the videos, the emotional reactions, and business outcomes, which enables us to train a new breed of emotional analytics that we'll be soon using also beyond marketing in other use cases. Thanks.
Thank you, Mihkel. So in the audience, how many people have 20 or more employees? Raise your hand. Excellent. So this is what we're going to focus on in this stage of today's panel. Let's kick off with the first question for all of you. I've interviewed many growth companies, and one of the key things that almost always comes up as a factor for either things going well or poorly is people. Managing people, hiring the best people, fostering a community. Walk us through individually, maybe we'll start with you, Melanie, with how you foster a dual-sided community, because you have the issue of not only having to hire and retain 40+ people, but you also have the challenge of growing a community which generate the liquidity for your marketplace.
So we are lucky that we are based in Berlin, which is one of the startup hubs in Europe. It all started in Berlin with the artist scenes from Brooklyn and London coming over to Berlin because there were lots of studios, more affordable, living costs are low. And out of this, it turned out to be a very great startup hub, or the startup hub was developed. So we are now 42 people. I'm nearly the only German in the company. We are from 16 countries. And it's in a way great that Berlin is known now as the place to be, as a creative person. We have amazing UI UX people in Berlin. That's very important, especially for a Gen Z product that we have created. And it's in a way sourcing there the talent because people want to live where we are. And we have, of course, a good HR team in place. In a way, hiring the best people available in the market, yeah.
Okay, so continuing with that, Robert, what do you do to foster creativity in the community? So both in terms of how you hire the technical expertise that you need, but also, we were chatting earlier before we came on stage about transitioning to a new type of customer, and how do you motivate that customer base to think creatively for these campaigns? How do you manage those people?
So as a team, we're quite small. We're only about 20. But what we've really focused super hard on for the last 3.5 years or so is showing a community of photographers and agencies what the potential is for this medium. And that meant, in the early days, actually reaching out to individual photographers and trying to convince them why they should care about doing cinemagraphs. And I can tell you, actually the most prolific cinemagraph creator in the world is actually a gentleman from Portugal who lives right here in Lisbon. He's done about 4,000 cinemagraphs. And his work actually has inspired, I would estimate, like 1,000 other photographers to start exploring the medium. So our community has been absolutely everything to us. It's how we've grown the business. It's by highlighting the amazing work that people do with our tool.
Mihkel, you're almost in the other extreme. You're building such a technically complex product that just finding the right talent, you're originally from Estonia, but how do you manage and attract the right people when there's so much poaching and there's so many, it's so hard to find the right talent?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to people. I couldn't agree with more with your importance of your question. So what we found out is that the glue that keeps all these people that make it happen at RealEyes, from engineers and scientists in Hungary to salespeople in New York and general management, is that the belief into that bigger story, that we are onto something with this emotional thing. Emotions are important for people. Tech is coming together. So it is a very unique, exciting story. So that's how we've been able to attract people to be at lower salaries and work harder than they were before. And you just need to keep it live. I think that's key. The location matters. I mean, the engineering hiring is still the most. So a huge shout out to Budapest in Hungary, where we've been for 4 years now. I mean, that's really made the company as well in many ways.
So we were talking earlier, Melanie, about the timeliness of your product, you know, how it's targeting a generation that looks at the world a little differently. As you go to market, you know, we talked about with Robert how he engages with customers, but there's a lot less of them. You're engaging with a whole generation of people. How do you generate and promote for people to get on your platform so that you can scale? And maybe as part of that, share some of the funny stories about how people have used your platform.
I would say it's the great luck of the product itself that is so Gen Z focused because it's video that's a natural language to them. And they want to create beautiful content and videos. They are anyhow doing it every day. I know it myself because I have Gen Z and Gen Alpha in my house. 2 of my kids are teenagers doing video content every day. And that's in a way what inspired me to create a platform where they could combine their entrepreneurial spirit with making money and with a shopping experience. Nevertheless, we had the great luck that just four days out of beta, we were discovered by Apple. And Apple, I have to say, was very supportive. They fused something in us from the beginning and helped us also out of beta. That, of course, that's why we are now in 160 countries with downloads and on a crazy ride.
The trick is to get friendly with Apple. But all right, but so for advice that we can give the community here, what is it that you help? I mean, I saw on your website you have a lot of tools on helping people create the right videos. How do you work with, let's say, Flixel to come up with better content? How do you inspire that? And maybe share the story about the BMW.
Again, you know, Gen Z, it's not the millennial crowd, yeah? They, in a way, I have to say, don't have to be inspired. They're the natural-born video content creators. That's our luck. Then there are many funny stories what people are selling, but one recent thing was that a 17 or 18-year-old boy uploaded a video about the car his brother, 26, wanted to sell. So, of course, you know, a video with a buy button where you immediately can buy a car is, I don't know, probably no one will immediately press the buy button for a 20,000 car. Nevertheless, they thought with a video you can tell this story better. And that's, I would say, the great use case. But there are so many. We have mainly a lot of sneakerheads and a lot of streetwear, activewear, cool tech products on the platform.
Interesting. Mihkel, on the point of understanding a generation, with your product, do you get enough data? Is this something that advertisers can hope for, that they get enough data about how different generations behave and emotionally connect with products, that they can replicate the depth of customer knowledge that Melanie has?
You need to get your sample size right, you know, and most of the brands are after the younger audience, right? So that is the challenge that we face. But provided you get a few hundred people to look at the message, you get emotion data is super rich. You know, every frame you get so many different readings, so you can get a lot out of those few hundred people to read, and that's what we can do in a day or two. So it's really, you know, works practically for marketers.
Can I?
Robert, you had a previous comment.
Yeah, I was just going to add I think what we're seeing is clearly a video-centric world now, and that using still photos, sadly, are becoming a stale medium, you know, on a lot of platforms. So, you know, what we're both all doing up here is kind of the avant-garde of really where everything is video-based.
So our time's sadly come up, but it's funny that we end on the subject of video and how important it is. I don't know if you guys have seen that really funny video that came out of a guy who's helping his girlfriend sell her car, and he put it up for $3,000 online, but it was an amazing video. You have to look for it. It's a Honda Accord, and I think it went for $100,000 at the end of the day because of how beautiful the video was shot. So, you know, if you guys want to learn more about that, reach the panelists here. I'm sure you're going to be available. But thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for the next panel.